Hey, hey, hey. Looks like we are live in the show. Apologize to everyone. We were experiencing some technical difficulties.
Just
I
like the
think we
Chicago Bears. Go ahead.
exactly. Let's let some people file in here. I see we got the Nudge and Jigsaw in the chat already. Man, back with another episode of the Monsters of the Gridiron podcast. Man, I don't see the background up either. I see something is us. We're still having some issues here. We don't see our Monsters of the Gridiron interface up here. But either way, we keep talking. Man, another bad loss by the Chicago Bears. Probably the worst loss we've seen in, I don't know, probably the last 2 years. I can't think of a loss worse than this one, man. Just because I probably blocked out some of the other bad ones. But I don't know. How you feeling about it, Will?
Like I said, man, Hard Knocks had us all pumped up, and like we were excited because it looked like we were turning the corner. Coaching staff, the right players on the skill set side. We was a little reluctant as far as with the trenches, but we still felt like we had enough to get over the hump and contend not only for a playoff spot but for the NFC North. But when you look at the stats of situational planning, the last year and a half, we've lost 4 games where we had a 92 percentile in the fourth quarter of winning.
Mm-hmm.
0 and 17, 18 on the road. Haven't run a road game on a Sunday since January I think 2022. So
Right.
when you really pull back the curtain, and then everybody was like, "Oh, last year the defense was playing well," but then you go look at who they was playing well against. Like either those guys aren't in the league or they're backups now. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
we got hit with fool's gold once again, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so demoralizing. It's so disappointing because now we got a brand new Lamborghini at quarterback, and because we didn't take care of the trenches, he's looking like a Pinto.
Yep, absolutely right, man. I can't disagree with anything you just said there, man. It was fool's gold, man. I think that we were both on board last year with saying that it was time to move on from Matt Eberflus, but Ryan Poles decided to keep him and to allow him to hire another offensive coordinator, who we all thought was also going to be a really good choice of offensive coordinator after seeing what happened with the resurgence of the journeyman quarterback in God, I can't even think of his name, Geno Smith.
Geno Smith.
But yeah, Geno Smith. But it's been the opposite, man. It's been the exact opposite. This dude has the play calling for one has just not been good, and I think the rhythm of the game and establishing the running game, we haven't seen that happen consistently. We haven't seen the players that we've gone out and gotten all these skill position players. We got the Keenan Allens, we got the Romo Doomsday, we had DJ Moore, we have Cole Kmet. I don't see this offensive coordinator leaning on the strengths of this offense in those players very often, man, and getting the ball into those players' hands quickly, allowing them to make plays. I understand that our offensive line is not the strength of our offense right now, and we all knew that coming in. However, I would expect for our offensive coordinator to understand that as well and to develop game plans to kind of mask, our deficiencies and at the offensive line position, which we've seen other teams be able to do in the past. So for some reason, the Bears just can't seem to ever figure it out, man. Like I said, we have all these great skill position players. Cole Kmet hasn't seen the ball in but one pass in the past 2 games, which I think is an egregious error on the part of the offensive coordinator, and it's almost criminal to me, man. I don't know what's going on, man, with our offensive coordinator, but our offense is really bad this week. Our defense also took a step back, uh, especially on that final play of the first half of the game. which Matt Eberflus took responsibility for, putting the defense in a bad position by calling a pass blitz. However, the players didn't give a lot of effort there to stop that guy. I don't know. And this was a third string running back, man, who he had a lot of speed, man, and he hit that hole hard, and it was a gaping hole. But man, I would expect for our defense to, someone on our defense to step up and wrap that guy up for just to end the half. I wouldn't expect to see a 53-yard run for a touchdown to end the half. And I think at that point, I think that sealed the game for us, man. At that point, it was over.
Right. I think you're spot on. Once the morale is killed, coming off a heart wrenching, gut wrenching loss against the Commanders, in which a lot of players, as we know, voiced that they felt that we should have been in some form of quarters right before that Hail Mary pass, which would alleviate that 15-yard out that would have even put them in position to make
Yep.
that Hail Mary pass. So now you fast forward a week later, and the defense looked flat. Everything, the play calling was out of rhythm. Cole Kmet,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's egregious. The last 2 weeks that I think he's been targeted once with no receptions, no yards. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the running game has been slow to develop. The inability, like you say, to get Caleb started fast. Like I think the entire first half, this entire season, I don't think we've scored on an opening possession. So we're starting off in the hole, which causes uh, a high level player to start pressing because they want to make plays, and then once they get down two possessions, you compound that with a bad. Now everybody's just gonna blitz the hell out of it. Let's call it for what it
Yep.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's gonna blitz, and a couple times, I know Keenan Allen had a bad drop. Um, Again, Caleb, he's missing a couple of good passes to the backs and the flat because he's trying to big game hump, which is turning into sacks and getting us
Yep.
behind the sticks. It was a lot of pre-snap penalties once again, and that's a reflection of coaching or lack thereof. That's
Mm-hmm.
lack of discipline. So
Mm-hmm.
that falls on the coaches. And then on top of the mounting injuries on the offensive line was already shaky, and now you add the injuries that we have with Darnell Wright. You add the Braxton Jones not being 100%. Like when you look at
Mm-hmm.
the injuries we have right now, like I think we'll beat the Patriots this week, but after that, it's about to be tough sled. And I hate to say it, but man, I'm just so disappointed because man, like we had such high hopes. The situational coaching has been terrible. The
Mm-hmm.
situational personnel groupers have been terrible on both Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron. So, and then the whole mishandling of the Tyreek Stevenson, like players watch that stuff, and everybody
Mm-hmm.
could they all expressed that they felt okay. We had an in-house meeting, we addressed it, let him play. So the way they handle that, a lot of the players didn't like that, didn't support that, and it showed with the play on the field. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it's like I just feel like, man, like here we go again. Where do
Yep.
we start? Okay, do you fire Eberflus at the end of the year and give Caleb a new coach, a new OC? And that's why it was hard last year to get a good OC to come because who wants to come somewhere where they know the coach is on the hot seat and it's a lame duck uh, coaching situation? Like, who
Yep.
wants to move their family halfway across the country knowing that walking into that as is already from day one? So, for us fans, that have been supporting the organization, once again, it's piss poor. I was watching Yurkovich because I know he's on ESPN 1000, and some of the stuff he was saying, like he said that Ryan Poles has a poor time evaluating offensive linemen because again, it's like he goes out and get linemen that played like he did, and he even failed to
Yeah.
make the 53-man roster back in '06 under Lovie Smith. So when I like that's the second
Mm-hmm.
time I've heard somebody make reference of when he played and how he keeps getting linemen that played like he did. So, I feel sorry
Yeah.
for Caleb. I really do because I do think in the right situation he could still he could be having the same results as Jaden Daniels, but again, we'll never know because when you look at him past 15 yards, his inaccuracy is concerning. Why? Because the one
Absolutely.
because the one thing we could bank on with the previous quarterback was what? Past 15 yards, it was pretty much on the money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yep.
like it's like, and then I see all the content creators saying that the Fields cultists are happy. Like, no one's happy. You know what I'm saying? That we're going through this again because as loyal fans to the organization, it's not fair to the players, to the fans, to the city that we can't get a simple team that can, from a competent perspective with the right coaching, mesh it all together and compete at a high level where every Sunday, I'm not talking about the games against substandard competition. You're supposed to win them games. That's why we put up 36 against Jacksonville and we put up all them points against Carolina. Like, again, that's fool's gold. That didn't excite me. I want to see what you do against some competent competition. And each time we played them, with the exception of Detroit in the last 2 years, we've wet the bed.
Yep. Yep. You said a lot there, man. And I have to agree with everything you just said there, man. We have absolutely wet the bed against just average competition. We haven't beaten anyone of note over the past 2 seasons except for the Detroit Lions.
That's
We've
it.
been in games, but you don't get a prize for being in the game, man. Being in the game, I mean, that doesn't mean that you're a good coach. And I know I was talking to someone on Twitter today about this. Like, the coaches have to win, have to coach to win games, man. They have to have the team prepared to win games, and we've seen these teams have not been prepared, especially going on the road, man. And preparation doesn't mean, a pep talk. And when I speak of preparation, I'm speaking of, game planning, giving these guys assignments and being detailed in those assignments, and so that they're able to execute, as Truce likes to say, we didn't execute well. You're only going to keep telling me, the execution was bad after so long before I have to start pointing at you. Because why is the execution bad? Isn't that what you're responsible for? Making sure that the execution is going to be solid on each rep. Isn't that what you and your position coaches are responsible for? So if you keep pointing to the players and saying that, oh, they didn't execute well, then what's going on in practice? Are you telling me that in practice execution is great, but then when we get to the games that it suddenly just falls to shit? Well, that will probably mean that we're not practicing hard enough or something.
But
There's a disconnect somewhere.
I think Cole Kmet made reference to that. Like, let's be honest. Like, if you really analyze a lot of what the players were saying, Cole Kmet, Kevin Byard, Mercedes Lewis, how people approach practice, how coaches approach practice, lack of accountability. Like, if you just really dig deep into some of the statements that have been said over the last week and a half, then you can see that all of the red flags and indicators have been there as far as lack of acute attention to detail. There's no reason right now, like you said earlier, we should be at a minimum 6-2, 7-1. Because I truly believe we could have beat the Colts. I truly could, and we could have won the Texas game. But again, it comes down to coaching and execution. And if your team has a bunch of pre-snap penalties, guess what? That's coaching. And if in year 3 of this program you can't get that right, then guess what? You're not meant to be the CEO of this organization. Point blank, period. It's a production-based business because every year I see them ticket prices going up. Every year, the cost to go to the game and have a good time, that's going up. So why shouldn't the expectation of where this organization should be? Because guess what? At the end of the day, we deserve a winner. Like, this is year 3 of the program. Like, the excuses, as far as I'm concerned, they're out the window. It's time to really elevate the organization to the next level. We got a rookie quarterback, so we got the money to play with to bring the right people in. Like we've been saying the last 3 years, if we would have been focusing on the trenches by now, the trenches would have been solidified. And guess what? I know we would be competing at the highest level. Okay, if the trenches are solidified, now, like you said, it's time to look at the head coach and the position coaches.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. The discipline, the details, the execution or lack thereof, that's all a reflection of coaching, and I think that's what's failing this team right now because I feel like we're talented. I know we're a more talented team than Washington was. I even feel like we're a more talented team than the Arizona Cardinals are, but we are losing these games because we're being outcoached, because those teams are paying attention to the details. They knew that at the end of the half, you think they didn't know, that coach didn't know that at the end of the half that Coach Eberflus would be sleeping on that play? They probably saw that. They schemed that up, man. They knew that, like, hey, if we get into this situation, he's probably just going to go into a prevent defense. We're going to put our speed back on the field, and hey, you hit this hole hard, and you try to take it to the house, hit your head on the goalpost, and that's exactly what fucking happened. That's coaching. I'm sure that's probably going to come out. That they saw that on field. They knew Coach Eberflus's tendencies, or that he was going to try to overcorrect from the week before, and trying to go into that prevent defense and bringing some pressure off of the edge and dropping back a defensive lineman. Why are you dropping back defensive linemen? Why are we even dropping back defensive linemen at the end of the fucking half, man? Why?
Right.
Well, what point? Who is the defensive lineman going to stop? You said you make the same mistake that you made in the Cleveland game, dropping a defensive lineman off of the line of scrimmage and allowing these big gaping holes to occur. So hey, I can't defend this coaching staff any longer. I'm done with them, but I know that the McCaskies and Ryan Poles, they're not going to move on from Coach Flus before the end of this season. And I know he tried to take some accountability yesterday, but that's only because we know that someone probably got into his ear and told him, hey, you're going to have to start taking some accountability publicly because, look, you did make these mistakes. And we've heard rumblings from Cap that were saying that even some of the coaches were scratching their heads by some of the decisions that were made in the previous week's game. So it feels like we lost this game because of last week's game as well. Like that, and Caleb Williams even alluded to it, that we just held on to this for too long because it was such an egregious mistake. And so in the Tyreek Stevenson thing, which I also think was mishandled, man. Why? And then, we hear early in the morning on Sunday morning, Jay Glazer was talking about what Tyreek walks off of the field after learning that he was going to be sat down for the beginning of the game, where he wasn't going to be the starter. He had to walk off, and which he didn't tell the whole story. I thought that was fucked up what Jay Glazer did, because then shout out to Courtney Cronin for telling the whole story. Yeah, he walked off the field to compose himself, and then came back and finished practice. I personally feel like you don't fucking tell that player on the field. You bring him into your office like a fucking man, and you talk to him and say, hey, you fucked up. We're getting a lot of heat from this nationally. I'm gonna have to do something. He's like, I need you to get your shit together. I need you to make plays for me. I don't want you to tell me anything about how sorry you are. I want you to make plays for me. I need you to that's the way you're gonna, get past this, is by making plays on the field. Point blank, period. And then you bring in the other guy and tell him, Terrell Smith, and let him know, hey, I need you to make sure that there is no drop off, But you don't go and do that on the field, man. Of course he's gonna be emotional. He's an emotional guy. That's what got him in the situation that he was in.
Exactly.
So that's just that was another coaching mistake by the head coach. Why the fuck would you wait to tell this guy, oh, hey, wait a minute, you're in there with the ones? No, you come out, Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith, you go in. You're not running with the ones this week. We decided to sit you. You gonna tell me this shit on the field? You couldn't call me to your office like a man, and so we can have our back and forth, and I can tell you how I feel. And, then we can move past it. Ultimately, yes, it's your decision, but talk to me like a man. Come in and have that conversation. Be the head coach. Be the man, the leader of this team that you're supposed to be. But of course, that didn't happen. We all know that it didn't happen that way, and that would be my expectations of a head coach. But for some reason, I just don't know where the disconnect is. Flus is just not a leader of men. I know everyone is saying that he's done a lot for this defense, but I'd argue to say that this defense is going to be good either way because of the talent that we acquired in the defense. We have a lot of money invested in this defense. Draft picks are invested in this defense. We have free agent dollars in both of those linebackers and Montez Sweat, and another defensive end and what's our boy name, the crazy mug? I can't think of his name right now, who doesn't play a lot, but but we also got him in free agency. Man, I can't even think of his name right now. DeMarcus Walker. And DeMarcus
Gotcha.
Walker. So we've invested a lot of dollars, and then we brought in, we invested in bringing in other guys on. We brought so many players in on defense to help Flus to be successful, and we're calling him successful. We're saying that, oh, he's gotten our defense to a top 5 level. Of fucking course he did. He has all the talent on his side of the ball. We've invested all the money on his side of the ball over the past couple of years. So if it wasn't good, then it would be even worse. But even though we invested all of this, he still finding ways to lose games. He still found a way to cause us a playoff berth last season. Those 3 games cost us a playoff berth. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. And they were all because of coaching mistakes. You know, we allowed 2 teams to come back, and we allowed a final second play that caused us 3 losses last year. That would have took us to 10-7, and we would have been in the playoffs.
Right.
That's a fact. That's not an opinion.
And to me, that in itself is a fireable offense. From last year, we're doing the same thing this year. It's the same reoccurring issues. No reason we should have been 10-7 last year. No reason right now we shouldn't be 7-1, 7-2 going into the Green Bay game this year. So again, it's time to start making excuses, whether it's the GM, whether it's the coach, whether it's position coaches, you know, whether it's the type of players that we're acquiring, at any particular time. Like it's time to wipe out the excuses, because to me, this is 2 years of having soft schedules, but other teams that have better coaches and better execution have made our team look like dog shit.
Yep, absolutely. And when we're making excuses, we see other teams doing well. We see the Washington fucking Commanders in the same situation we're in, with a first-year head coach. But they're in a worse situation, if you ask me, because they got a first-year head coach, an offensive line that they just strung together this year, and a rookie quarterback, and a new offensive coordinator. You know, an entire new coaching staff. To be honest, an entire new coaching staff. Yet they're 7-2, and we're sitting here 4-4.
Right.
You know, so don't tell me, but you know, we can use this as an excuse. Yeah, we're in the rebuilding mode. We can use that as an excuse, but then we're seeing other teams succeed in the same situation, and that's my problem with it. And the only difference is the coaching, you know, because they don't have better players than we have here in Chicago, out in Washington. And it's just as simple as that, man. And Montez Sweat, not having Montez Sweat should not affect the defense in that manner. I know a lot of people who were saying, hey, we didn't have Montez, so, you know, the defense didn't play well because of that. Hey, if one player going down can really put a hamstring, really hurt your defense that much, then, again, I got to point back to coaching. Then what is the coach doing? If you knew that this defensive end meant so much to your team, what are you doing to replace him and to make up for that loss? So, and I think it's only going to get worse, because now I think Billings had a chest issue or a pec issue. So hopefully it's not a torn pec. Hopefully he won't be out for a long extended period of time. But a defense that already can't stop the run just lost his best run stuffer. So that's something to look out for this week, man. And I know we're saying that the New England Patriots coming in here, the Bears should get a win, but hey, I'm not putting money on any team right now. I'm not putting any money on the Bears right now. Save your money. Don't bet on the Bears, because the New England Patriots are licking their fucking chops watching the Bears and saying, hey, look at this team. Like they don't have it right now. And the Bears are like the players. It seems like the players have given up on the coaches, man. And especially our quarterback. Let's get into our quarterback talk some more, who, you know, Caleb is just not playing with guys. Caleb he's up and down. We've seen some good from him for the 2 weeks, especially the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he was taking what the defense was giving him. But now he's back to big game hunting. You know, he's standing there looking down the field, waiting for guys to get open when there's a guy open right in his face, and he has to get rid of the ball. He's putting himself in bad situations, you know, and forcing us to play this off-script football where, you know, everyone's scrambling trying to get open for him to pass it to. Like, that's not what we brought you here for, son. We need you to play on script. We need you to get rid of the ball to all these playmakers. Those are the stars of the offense, not you. You don't have to be the star of the offense. We got all these skill players. All thing you have to do is get the ball into their hands. And Caleb hasn't been able to do that. And especially the deep ball passing, like you mentioned, Will, man, that's a concern. And other teams are taking notice of that. He can't execute a pass past 20 yards accurately at all. At all. Like, we haven't seen it. We've seen it. Don't think the longest pass I've seen was the easy one to Cole Kmet up the middle. And even that, Cole had to stop and turn around and catch.
Right.
Even that one play to Rome Odunze, that was a touchdown. Rome was wide open. When there was a defensive error by the Washington Redskins. Rome gets behind the defense. He's wide open. He has to stop, wait for the ball, and allows the defense to come over and tackle him. That should have been a touchdown. If he leads Rome down the sideline, Rome catches that pass in stride. That's what the previous quarterback would have been able to do. That we haven't seen from this quarterback just yet.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I know a lot of it is probably more so wanting to make big plays, getting rattled in the pocket, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but it's like the mechanics are bad, the throws are off, it's extremely erratic. So I'm just like wow, like I'm just blown away. Like yesterday when I say that game took the wind out of my sail, and I was supposed to be there, and I had people there like, Will, you are glad you didn't show up. They said the team looked undisciplined. The team just looked, like they weren't really into it. The body language, the execution, the pre-snap penalty, everything we saw online where we was communicating via text, like seeing it live, everybody was like, no, this is not what we signed up for in this season. They said Caleb is rapidly regressing, which I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, it just seems that Caleb is tuning out coaching right now, man. I don't think he believes in the coaches
Right.
at this point in time. That's what it looks like out there. And it's not just him. I think a lot of the players out there are. When they get a bad play call, after that bad play call to end the first half, I think the defense was a little bit deflated, even though I think the defense still fought. I do take issue with people who are posting and saying online that, the effort wasn't there for the Bears. Like, yeah, they gave a lot of effort, man. They gave a lot of effort, especially on defense. The defense only gave up 6 points in the second half. So for people to say that, they just gave up, no, that's not what fucking happened. The defense gave up 6 points in the entire second half of the game. The other 2 points were given up by a safety on what I thought was a bad call because of what was the clipping call from Swift.
Are you talking about the safety that
Yeah,
resulted in?
Yeah.
The 15-yard illegal personal foul.
Yeah, I thought that was a bad call because that
Yeah.
the defensive lineman had gotten around the offensive lineman already. The offensive lineman had a hand on him, but he wasn't engaged with him. I think that call is when you're engaged with a player and someone comes at your legs from the side. That's what that call is meant to prevent.
Right.
Not a guy who's already has a beeline to my quarterback and I step up. The offensive lineman has a hand on him. His back is still turned. He's still trying to turn around to catch this guy. Like, no, that's not what that play was meant to protect.
But hey, we got to give Reddy Stewart a shout out, because like the Nas said, he came in, he caused a turnover. Somebody else called. We had two. I think we was +2 on the turnovers, I believe.
+2 on the turnovers and still lost the game. +2 on the turnovers. Both fumble recoveries. Man, should have had another interception, I thought, early in the game from Terrell Smith. I thought that was a hell of a play there where he peeled off and recognized that quarterback was looking deep and dropped back in his coverage a little bit deeper and was able to get his hands on the ball. Wasn't quite able to bring it in, but that was a hell of a play by him. Man, what else was good from this game, though, man? What else was good that you think that we could, if you were in that film room looking at this game, what are you going to point to the team and say, hey, We need this. Let's see more of this.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I can't really pinpoint nothing, to be honest. You know, other than on the defense, causing those two turnovers, the offense there was no identity, and that's what
No.
we're seeing. We're so stagnant. We're not incorporating. And I know they want to co-commit to stay in the block, but it's like, man, every team is gonna use the same blueprint moving forward.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, the ball don't come out, and you know, if it's 1 second, 1.5 second, you really can't blame Caleb. Cause goddamn, if he said height and the pass rush right in his lap, like it's like the longest yard when they saw Cruz was throwing them games, and he was about to throw
Mm-hmm.
that one, and the line just stopped blocking,
Yep.
and look, they did them jailhouse blitzes.
Yep.
That's what every team is doing to us right now. And
Yep.
we can't pick Larry Boyd, and I expected it, but he looked like a turnstile.
He definitely did. He definitely did. And then we lose Darnell Wright, and towards the end of the game, and for some reason, our head coach decides to leave Caleb in for those final plays of the game, and he gets twisted up a little bit. I hope that he's okay. Look, like you said, man, the offense just looked terrible. I think you just ball everything up and throw it away because I know Rome Odunze made a few plays, but he missed. He dropped the pass
He
that
did
on the
early in the
sideline.
first half that could have sustained the drive.
Could have sustained the drive. Like, man,
Keenan
we have
Allen dropped
two.
the pass.
Keenan dropped the pass or two. He may have dropped two. I just know that we have too many drive killers, man, and that's all about details and execution. What are we doing in practice from Wednesday to fucking Friday? If we look this bad on Sunday,
Yeah,
that means it's not tight on those days because you practice the way you play. If the shit ain't tight on Sundays, if it's this shitty on Sundays, then you can't tell me that it looks better on fucking Wednesday to Friday. You can't convince me of that at all. So they need to tighten up there in Hallis Hall, man. Coaches need to hold players accountable. Players need to hold each other accountable too, man. Like, man, like this shit is ridiculous, man. We can't keep supporting this as Bears fans, man. The organization, we're back in the same cycle again, where we have a quarterback who's slow to develop, who we think has a lot of a promise and a lot of what do I want to say? Fucking, he has a lot of man, you know what I'm trying to say? Uh, Potential, a lot of potential. Man, I'm forgetting my words. Caleb has all the potential in the world to be a great quarterback. However, potential is one thing. You can have all the potential in the world, but until you reach that potential, it doesn't fucking matter. That potential could be wasted. And right now, that potential was being wasted. I think he has the potential to be great, but he needs the coaching staff to help him get there. I think he has the players around him. He needs to be protected as well. He needs to be protected. I think Ryan Poles has to shoulder some of the blame here, man. He chose to sign or trade for Keenan Allen, man. And I think I was thinking about it today, and that Keenan Allen trade really kind of hurt the team more than it's helping the team. I thought that if we had the right offensive coordinator, maybe it would have helped the team. But if you think about it, that's two quality offensive linemen, man, because that's a $20 million cap hit, and we gave up a 4th-round pick. Those are at least two quality players.
right.
When Tyler Badias, the center for Washington, signed a fucking 3-year, $23 million contract. So we're paying 1
Right.
year for what we could have paid this guy for 3 years and had a solid center. So it's just shit like that. Those type of decisions come back to bite you in the ass at some point. When you get too cute and you decide you're making those decisions that you didn't need to make, especially if you knew that you were going to draft another wide receiver in the draft. We had Rome Odunze, but if we didn't get Rome Odunze, we would have had the opportunity to draft another wide receiver later in the draft. So we were going to be fine at wide receiver. And seeing what he saw the previous year, Ryan Poles should have known that his main objective and his main focus in developing this quarterback had to be protecting him first and foremost. And not only protecting him, with pass protection, but having offensive linemen that were going to be able to help create a good, strong running game, which, that's also been inconsistent here. It's just because, of the lack of details, guys getting their heads on the wrong side of blocks, guys taking false steps, guys. It's bad, man. It's just bad all around. And like I said, it's to me, it has a lot to do with coaching, but some people see it differently. But either way, someone's head's going to roll for this. Maybe not during the season, but definitely after the season. And that head's going to be Matt Eberflus and the rest of this coaching staff.
Headless horseman, baby. Right after Halloween. I'm just saying, like, at this point, like, you can have whatever press conference you want to have. I'm analyzing everything at this point, and to me, it's time to move on because I just don't see a recovery from this. After this Patriots game, matter of fact, they might as well start Tyson Bagent that game and let Caleb, heal his ankle, because it's like there's no point in letting him go out there and further, damage, what happened in the last 20 seconds of that Arizona Cardinals game. One thing we know Tyson can do is get that ball out quick. We do know that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when I'm watching DJ Moore, his body language, people, like, body language don't lie at the
It
end of the day.
doesn't. It
It does.
doesn't.
Like, you could, women lie, men lie, but body language don't lie. So when
Yep.
you watching how after all those failed deep pass misconnections, a couple of dig routes that was missed, and his body language, slow to get up, how he walk off, how he addresses Caleb after those passes, like, at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. So, do we continue to prolong the agony, or do we go ahead and cut this umbilical cord and start on a new birth?
Yeah.
Whether it's Ben Johnson or whomever. Because I know Ben Johnson, that we hire him, and I'm not saying he's going to come in and do super either, but I do feel like he'll address the trenches, something that has made Detroit become a powerhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he definitely recognizes that the importance of having a solid offensive line, and he's been a beneficiary of that. However, that's what scares me about possibly shifting and going to a Ben Johnson, because does he know what to do without a good offensive line? That's what we don't know. Or does he know how to? Is he a good leader of men? Because we got Matt Nagy in here as a first year head coach and first time head coach, and he was the hot offensive coordinator, and he got here and he shit the bed. We got the same thing happening with Flus. It's his first time head coach. He's shitting the bed. So I've been thinking about that too, man. I'm not sure that I want to go with another first time offensive coordinator, or first time head coach, because it's just too much unknown comes with that, man. And we've just not been good at picking those guys. That's why I thought that Dan Quinn would have been a really good choice to replace Matt Eberflus last year, because he's been to a Super Bowl. He's a defensive-minded head coach. We've seen his defenses have success in Dallas, and he was the leader of the Legion of Boom. I thought that would have been a good guy to bring out a good identity, and we still could have brought in Shane Waldron, with him, or possibly someone else. But the guy that I'm looking at, who I think the Bears should really consider for head coach, is probably Cliff Kingsbury. Depending on how the Washington Commanders finish the season, Kingsbury did a good job of developing Kyler Murray when he was a rookie. Kyler Murray had a lot of success. Kyler Murray is now a franchise quarterback. He got to his second contract. Things went off the rails down there, yes, but I think Kingsbury has probably learned from those mistakes, which is why he's having success with another rookie quarterback in Washington right now. We know that he understands the ins and outs of the NFL. Where he can hold a press conference. We know that he can lead men. We know that he has made some mistakes, but You bring him in and found out what he's learned from those mistakes. And I think you go with a Cliff Kingsbury, man, someone who's done it already, a guy who Caleb also knows. He's worked with Caleb Williams before. He knows his personality. He probably knows how to get the best out of him. So that's who I'm thinking about as the Bears' next head coach. I think that you got to go with someone who's done it before. That's the only guy I can think of right now that's young enough and innovative. I want someone young. I want someone innovative who's going to be innovative. I want to go get one of these old ass coaches from the past to try to bring them back.
I'm tired of recycling these same old outdated. It's time for some new energy. It's time for some new bread, new ideology, methodology. It's time for us to move towards another direction because every time we bring in a recycle, it leads to false hope. It leads to fool's gold, and quite frankly, look, I'd rather deal with someone new, innovative, creative, that's going to add a lot of different wrinkles for us to be proud of and just give us some sustainability. That's all we want at this point, man. I'm tired of the revolving door with the personnel, with the coaches. Man, look, you already see it's done drove me to drinking. That's all I can tell you.
I hear you. I'm gonna give me one too. Like you say, I absolutely agree with you, man. Hey, it's an attractive job. I'll say that it's going to be an attractive job to all the coaches. I think it's probably going to be the best job available coming this off season. So I think the Bears will have their pick of the litter when it comes to the coaches that are available to become the head coach. I don't know if I trust the people to make the right decision. That's the problem. That's the thing. Can we trust the Bears to make the right decision and to hire the right coach? So we shall see. We shall see. We shall see. Everybody in the chat, shout out to you guys. I see someone saying John Gruden was right now. MGO. I don't know about that's another guy from the past, man. John Gruden. He was having a hard time keeping the wheels on in Las Vegas with the Raiders before he was fired. So. I absolutely agree. I agree that he can develop a quarterback, though.
Hey, everybody give Luke Guest a shout out. I guess Justin Fields got him fired in Las Vegas, huh?
Yep, Justin got Luke fired in Vegas, if you guys didn't hear about it. Somehow Justin Fields was able to get Luke Guest fired in Las Vegas in just 9 weeks into the season. In his first year as the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders, man, they kept pushing out quarterbacks in and out, trying to blame it on the quarterbacks. I guess Pierce was like, "Hey, enough of the bullshit. You're not going to keep telling me it's the quarterback's fault." Like, no, we got to switch the quarterbacks. Hey, you got to go.
Hey, Samo, you can't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining now.
Hey. Some people you can, some people you can.
It
works with some people. Brian Bowles got a lot of piss on his leg right now. He's thinking it was rain. Wet, leg soaking wet.
Hey, and that's what I'm saying. You can't tell me I'm gonna take the North and don't give it back with the acquisitions in the trenches, other than Montez Sweat that I've seen.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, I give anybody a chance, and I'm I got the patience of Job, but we in year 3. I'm like And again, the Keenan Allen, that $23 million, I think I would have allocated that to the trenches. I would have seen what I had with Tyler Scott. This would have been Tyler Scott make or break year. Because we got a bunch of draft capital, and there's a lot of good receivers coming out next year that we could have taken probably in the second, third round. After we would have got some edge here. So and offensive we had like Zach Frazier last year. Center would have been solidified. So now we got center, right tackle. Now we come back and double down, right guard, left guard. If nothing else, find some good adequate depth because our linemen don't make it the whole season.
You're right. And how you feel about Ryan Poles, man? Because right at this point, man, like you said, he's definitely culpable in the fact that the trenches on both sides of the ball are not they're both playing below par, if you ask me. They're both below par. You know, the offensive line has never been good under Ryan Poles. The defensive line plays well in spurts, you know, but they haven't they're not world beaters. We don't have a world beating defensive line. We don't have a defensive line that's scaring teams. I don't think Montez Sweat is scaring teams on a weekly basis right now either. It seems like he's playing hurt or he just doesn't. I don't know. Montez Sweat is not killing it for me this year, man. And you know, Javon Dexter early on in the year he made some plays, but I thought it was fool's gold, and it turned out to be fool's gold. Mute your camera for a second. Mute, not turn your camera off. Mute your. That's what I meant. Yeah, but I was saying the defensive line is not great. The offensive line is not great. And the situation, like you said, man, I don't know if Ryan Poles chooses just to shop in the bargain bin and thinks that, you know, you don't have to be a great player to be a good offensive lineman in the NFL. But I don't know when he's going to realize it, man. You can't keep shopping in the bargain bin. I'm
going to be honest. To answer your question, and I've talked to a lot of people on the executive side, scouts, coaches, like they said right now they had to give it a D plus as far as personnel acquisition. You know, a lot of people question that Keenan Allen move, which again, it's Ryan Poles' prerogative of what personnel to acquire because, okay, Keenan, he is in between the 20s, middle of the field. He would be a security blanket for a rookie quarterback, but Cole Kmet, his catch radius, I think, is about 95%. He don't drop the ball, so it's like we paying Cole Kmet all this money. I know we ain't paying him to be no inline blocker.
You're right, and we're not even getting him the ball.
And we're not even getting him the ball. So I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just scratching my head. I just say that, like I'm at a loss for words. You know, coming back after these games, you know, trying to figure out what are we doing on offense, trying to figure out, you know, why is Caleb still in the game when we down 29-9 with 20 seconds left? Like, what are we doing?
Right. Nothing good is going to come of that.
Nothing good can come of that. It's a fireable offense.
Exactly. I thought so too. I thought that Ryan Poles should have been pissed about that, and he should have said something about it. If he didn't say anything to Poles about that, then you know that's another egregious error from management, the management of this team. But like I said, Poles is also culpable, man. He has to do better. It's as simple as that. Like I think my issue with Poles is also that he gets enamored with the shiny new toy.
Right.
You know, because the Caleb Williams is the shiny new toy. You know, the fact that you didn't look at the other Heisman winning quarterback that was in this draft, you know, and you can take a deep dive into him as well and to compare these two players and to see, you know, who was the better fit. I think that's an egregious error, man, and it's almost criminal. The same thing goes for Rome Odunze. He wanted Rome Odunze so bad that we saw that he was willing to trade a pick, and you know his comrade and Ian Cunningham had to tell him like, "Hey, hold your horses. I think we're gonna be able to get him." But you were so enamored with this dude, like for what? It was like he's just a wide receiver. Like he's not Jerry fucking Rice. Like what says that he was gonna be so much better than the other receivers in this draft, and a draft full of really good receivers. And what's the guy in for the Jacksonville Jaguars is having a better year right now.
Yeah, you talking about the speedster from LSU. I know you talking about Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas is having a hell of a year. He's outperformed Rome Odunze so far this season, you know, on a worse team. You know, so it's stuff like that. You know, you got to recognize opportunities too. You don't have to get this player. Like if the drop off between these two players is not that great, maybe you trade back and acquire some more assets in the draft. You know, pick up another player and then draft, you know, Brian Thomas. We could have moved back in the draft and drafted Brian Thomas and picked up another offensive lineman. Like opportunities like that Ryan Poles has missed, and it just has me scratching my head. Or could it be that coaches have made his decisions making look bad. Because right now the Keenan Allen trade is not looking like a good decision. Right now, going out and drafting Rome Odunze even is not looking like a good decision. So only time will tell. I think Poles is safe. He's going to have the opportunity to continue to build this team and to hire another head coach. Just, how much faith do we have in the Bears to get it right? I think that's where I'm going to leave it, man. I just don't have a lot of faith in the Bears to get this hire right. You muted.
I say I'm with you. At this point, we just got to move forward. We can't harp on what we can't control. We can offer our expertise as as limited as others might think it is. But at the end of the day, it's just like we can't harp on it and let us get us emotionally and mentally in the dumps, because it is what it is at this point.
Yep.
Like I hope they figure it out, but will they? Like you said, time will tell. So, on that
Yep.
note, I plan on coming this weekend. If I don't go see my mom's,
All
I'll let you know.
right.
And me and you probably can hit it together if you want to. And
All right.
hey, that's what it's gonna be. So for the chat, we love y'all as always. We
Yes, sir.
appreciate you. We appreciate you. And hey, blessings. Hey, bear down, claws up, stay focused, stay locked in. And look, I want y'all to have a phenomenal week, man.
Yep. Don't
I
let
know it's
them
hard.
Bears
These
get you
last two
down.
weeks, these last 2 weeks have been hard, but don't let it get you down. I want y'all to have a phenomenal week,
Nope.
for real.
We've been here before. Let's just
We,
know that.
we have.
This
We have.
situation might be a little bit better than those times in the past, though. So,
Right.
I think the arrow is still pointing up. It's just this season. This season, hey, think what you want of it.
Right.
We're gonna still support the team. We still gonna watch. Either way, we're gonna still bear down, squad up, claws up. Let's get it. Y'all have a good night.
I should have just stayed neutral. Next time I
Bear
say
down.
shit.